All right, let's talk about how to sign up for dual credit. Several of you have already indicated on your course offering sheet that you are interested in taking dual credit next year. However, there is quite a bit of other stuff that we have to take care of in order to actually get you enrolled. So if you go to the London website, underneath the Students tab, there is a link for dual credit, and we actually have quite a few important documents in here for you to look at. The first one I want to show you is the dual credit packet. This really has all of the information in, kind of a one-stop shop. We have put the priority deadline as April 1st. That's to get in all of your paperwork and make sure all of your ducks are in a row so that we can send your information over to Del Mar and they can get you registered for the classes that you want. There is a table of contents in here. This page right here is really great checklist, giving you kind of all the steps that you have to take in order to be fully registered. And I'll walk you through all of these different pieces. Here we have some of Del Mar's acknowledgments for dual credit. This is a form acknowledging that students who take dual credit at London do have to pay. The school does not cover that cost. And then this is information about the TSI. So they've actually changed the TSI, and now it's called the TSI A2. And of course, even the cutoff score, the scoring system, all of that looks completely different as well. Most of the classes, we're going to look for an R3. That means the reading is at a college level. An E3 means that the writing is at a college level. And then for the most part, it depends on the math. If it's a math class, then obviously the math has to be at a college level. But if it's like a social studies class, a history, psychology, usually the math really just needs to be over here, which means that the student has to have a math score on file, but they don't necessarily have to be college ready in the math. Now, one of the cool things that Del Mar lets us use, and unfortunately it's not on this sheet, but they do let students use their PSAT scores as a way of exempting them from having to take any of these exams. So on the PSAT, if their reading score on the evidence-based reading and writing on PSAT, if it was a 460, I know this is what SAT says, but on the PSAT, if it was a 460 or higher, plus the math has to be at least a 510 or higher, then the students would be exempt from having to take the TSI. Okay. Of course, they could also use an ACT or an SAT. There's several different ways they can do that. Students do have to show proof of a meningitis vaccine. Usually what I'll do is I'll print the school's meningitis shot records, and if they're current, then we'll use that information to send over to Del Mar. Sometimes the shots are out of date or they're going to expire before the kids actually start the Del Mar class, in which case you will have to go over to your doctor and get an updated shot for the meningitis shot. This is an important document for parents. The student is going to put in their name and their date of birth and their email and phone number. And then here they're going to list the names of any adults in their life who can have access to any of these records. Okay. And again, the student is going to sign here. So this is for parents to be able to contact Del Mar on their child's behalf. This has to be filled out. If this isn't filled out, Del Mar will not talk to you. Even if they know you're the one who's paying the bill, this has to be filled out. So this is a very important document as well. And then this document is something that we use at London just to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as accountability and the expectations of being in a dual credit class. And then the final form that'll get turned in will be this registration form. This is actually going to say what classes you're wanting to sign up for. Okay. So all of that's in the dual credit packet. The other helpful sheet is this Apply Texas application guide. So while we do have to fill out all those forms, we also have to do the Apply Texas. So students actually have to apply to Del Mar. So this gives you a step-by-step, you know, of exactly what you need to put, exactly what you need to fill in, okay? Exactly everything you need to do, okay? And the Applied Texas website really is uh, pretty easy to use. So on here, you can either, click on Get Started or create your account, either way. If you don't have an account, this is where you're going to have to start. Uh, for the Apply Texas. Okay, so this is also on that on the London website, and you'll be able to use that to apply. This is another, just a separate of the assessment level chart for the TSI. And then I always have several parents who, and students who have questions about what classes to take. So we have this, it's called a crosswalk, which basically shows you if I have this class at Del Mar, what does it translate as the high school course at London? And we have kind of a good running list of all the typical classes that students take. All right. US history is a big one for sophomores to take instead of regular US history. Um, Freshmen can start taking public speaking, but honestly, I have students who take public speaking all the time throughout high school. So there's really no um, requirement as far as age goes. We have some different math classes that students like to take, governments, things like that. And then we get into things like automotive. Um, Kids like to take some of those CTE classes. There's some different, I have students who like to take criminal justice. Again, it's not a high school graduation requirement, it'd be an elective, but that's something that students can take. Usually the way we work with our dual credit is as long as there is a high school course equivalent, a student can take it. So if you know US history, there is a high school equivalent of US history. Sometimes their classes, I know I had a student recently asking about a physical therapy and intro to physical therapy class. So I had to look, and unfortunately, there's no high school equivalent. So that wouldn't be a class that she could take that would, go on her high school transcript because we don't have anything that it correlates with. So again, this is a good list to kind of get kids started thinking about what it is they want to take. So the most important thing to remember with dual credit is to work your way through this list, okay? So signing the dual credit acknowledgement, that's pretty fast. The TSI, okay? We are gonna offer the TSI at London. I'll show you the form that's gonna go out here in the next day or so. If a student has already taken a PSAT and they believe that they are exempt from having to take the TSI, then we can print up those scores and attach that. Completing the Applied Texas. So it's important that students get that part done. Otherwise, Del Mar does not know that you want to be a student there. The copy of the high school transcript, this is something that we will do in the office. Once these other forms come in, then we'll print up a copy of their high school transcript. The self-pay acknowledgement, that gets turned in. Proof of meningitis, again, if you want us to check to see if the meningitis shot is up to date, we can look in our records. The signed FERPA documentation, and then of course, this form here. Now I want to show you this form. They have got this form on the Del Mar website. So let's go to Del Mar dual credit. And of course you can see classes cost $99.99 per 3-hour class, which is in my mind a steal. So here they have registration forms for dual credit, and this is for fall of 2021. So yes, a kid could actually write in this form, but Del Mar would love it if students would just type their information in here, and it makes it so much easier for them to read. Nobody needs to know my date of birth. All of this is where you can type inside of it. If you aren't sure about the name of the class, leave it blank, and that's something that we can help you fill out. All of our classes that students take are online, and the student pays. Okay. So if you were going to take history, it would be history 1301. Okay. And we don't put history 1302 because we're not taking that in the fall. We're taking that next semester in the spring. And then you'll have to print this out and have a student sign. The parent needs to sign it. And then when it gets turned in, the counselor will sign it as well. Okay. So all of these documents need to get turned in no later than April 1st. That's our deadline is April 1st. So testing dates that we are going to be offering for dual credit. Let me go to my, I'm going to be sending out a Google registration form. So this will go out to students. They'll just put in their name, last name, first name, student ID number. They'll indicate if they've tested before, and then what test they need to take. If it's your first time taking TSI, you need to take the whole thing. If you are a student who's already taking dual credit, you probably only need a portion of it. And that's something, if you're not sure, then let me know and I can look it up. The 2 dates we're going to offer, these are on Saturdays. There's going to be a March 20th at 9 a.m. in the library, or the following weekend, March 27th at 9 a.m. in the library. We are not going to charge for testing, but students need to be prepared. It'll take about 3 hours or so. It's a self-paced test, so some students are going to finish faster than others. It's a long test though, especially if they have to do all 3 parts. So, I always tell students, be prepared, bring a snack, bring, something to drink, and, be prepared to be there until lunchtime at the very least, and kind of go from there. If you think that you won't be able to handle doing a full all 3 parts in one sitting, let me know, and we can break it up and do half of it here on one Saturday and the other half on another Saturday. That's fine. But this information, this registration form will go out with this video, so hopefully you guys don't have any issues signing up for that. Again, if you have questions about dual credit, please feel free to email Lisa Spivey. And my email is just lspivey@London. Or you can email Lindsay Bowers. She'll be the counselor there next year. And her email is lbowers, BOWERS, @londonisd.net. Hopefully, you guys are now well aware of all the little bits and pieces we have to collect for dual credit. But all these forms are available for you. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are available. Thanks.